It's 2 a.m. Your eyes are closed, but your mind is wide awake. You're not really here, you're somewhere else, a place that never actually existed. If you also run fake scenarios in your head right before falling asleep, this video is for you. Sometimes you're winning an argument you actually lost. Sometimes you're finally saying the thing you couldn't say. Sometimes you're picturing yourself on a stage, successful, or in the perfect relationship. These scenes can feel so real that your heart rate actually changes even though nothing is happening except you lying in bed. In psychology, there's a term for this: maladaptive daydreaming. It was first coined by Professor Eli Somer in 2002 after he noticed that people coping with difficult or painful experiences would build detailed emotional fantasy worlds in their minds. When you lie down to sleep, your body relaxes, but a part of your brain called the default mode network becomes more active. This is the same network responsible for daydreaming, imagination, and self-reflection, which is exactly why the brain produces its most vivid fiction right before sleep. The first reason is unmet needs. When real life doesn't give us the respect, love, or victory we want, the brain creates it artificially in fantasy. It's a form of emotional compensation. Research shows that people who go through stress, loneliness, or trauma tend to produce more frequent and more vivid fantasies as a way of escaping their pain, even for a few minutes. The second reason is the need for control. In real life, there's a lot we can't control, but inside our imagination, we get to write every ending. We can win. We can say the right thing. We can be the hero. This is the brain's way of making us feel safe and powerful again, even if it only lasts a few minutes. The third reason is mental rehearsal. Sometimes the brain practices future situations in advance, like a difficult conversation, an interview, or a possible meeting. It's the brain's way of preparing you. But when this rehearsal goes too far and the fantasy becomes more appealing than reality itself, that's when it can become a problem. Eli Somer's research also found that for some people, this daydreaming becomes so intense that the line between fantasy and reality starts to blur, especially around emotionally unresolved situations. One study during the COVID-19 lockdown also showed that when stress in the world rises, this kind of fantasy tends to increase too. So the real question isn't whether you imagine these scenes. The real question is whether it's just a normal pre-sleep thought or if it's starting to affect your sleep, your mood, and your real relationships. So how do you take back control of this fake imagination? First, write down your unresolved feelings in a journal before bed, so your brain doesn't need to process them through fantasy at night. Second, give yourself a fixed 10-minute daydream time during the day, so the urge at night becomes weaker. Third, whenever a fantasy starts, ask yourself, am I controlling this or is it controlling me? That one question is often enough to pull you back into reality. Your imagination isn't your enemy. It's a mirror of your unmet emotions. Learn to understand it. Learn to control it. Slowly build a real life so beautiful that even your fake scenarios feel embarrassed by comparison. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, let us know in the comments.